all, I just got back from the grocery store, and since periodically people will ask me, what do you get at the grocery store? How do you do your shopping? I thought I would go ahead and do that since it's all just here. So I'm gonna share that with you guys today. It's hard to find like a typical week of grocery shopping because I just, like anyone else, replace things that I'm low on, and sometimes, you know, I'm doing more of like a big haul than other times, but I'll just kind of talk you through what I've got and include that in there. So let's see, I go to a local grocery store, which is really important to me. I really try not to use the big, huge corporate stores. So I go to a little local grocery store and I bring my own bags, and I bring my own produce bags too, which are just reused produce bags that I had previously, and then I just replace them, you know, as they get unusable. So I'm just sitting on my floor in my kitchen, so you're gonna see my clean dishes at least, and my daughter's art on the fridge. So bonus for you, here are my groceries from this week. Okay, so you can see I got a lot of stuff, but this is pretty typical. The only thing that's really not typical this week is I really stocked up on some nuts and seeds. Generally, I keep a pretty good supply of those, and there was running low a little bit. So I did go ahead and replace some things that definitely I wouldn't replace every single week. And then the rest of it is produce, which is very typical. I do go ahead and rotate my produce every week as much as I can, just to get different nutrients. So I'll just go through everything I've got and kind of what I'm going to do with it, and I'm going to cough. Excuse me. Okay, so up here I've got amaranth, which is a new thing for me. I am doing a class, a year-long Mastering Raw Food Nutrition course with Doctors Rick and Karen Dina. This is actually my second year going through it. I just love it. And we did a grain week, and I've never tried amaranth before. It's gluten-free, so I thought I'd give it a shot. And what I'm gonna do is make tortillas, make wraps out of that. I tend to make wraps every week. I'll use lentils. Sometimes I'll just use spinach. I'll sort of use whatever I have around. Last week I used quinoa, and I don't recommend that. It was kind of like eating tar paper, but you know, whatever. It was pretty good after a couple days in the fridge. Nutritional yeast, I don't use that all the time. It's not completely raw. There's some controversy with it, but I do use it in some recipes to kind of get a cheesy taste. This week, I'm making a sauce for my wraps out of pumpkin seeds and some spices, and I like to have a little nutritional yeast in there. Sometimes I'll use it in my soups as well. And this week we're making a tomato soup, which is something I actually make quite often and really love it. So I have a ton of tomatoes. I'm gonna do a lot of sun-dried tomatoes, and then the rest we'll just use in the soup and maybe in some salads too. So these other things here, I have walnuts. I was completely out of walnuts. I really like walnuts to make like a nut meat for tacos. I really enjoy that. Vivi and I also really love walnut nut milk, which is super yummy. And got the macadamia nuts. I don't typically eat macadamias because the nutritional profile is pretty weak. They're mostly just fat, but I do like them for texture when I'm making soups. So sometimes I'll add those, either those or pine nuts, also just to add some additional calories, but I don't tend to eat those all the time, but I had run out. So I got hemp seeds. I use these all the time. I put them in my smoothies. They have great omega-3. So along with golden flax seeds, I just sort of alternate golden and regular flax seeds in my smoothies. And I'll put a couple of tablespoons in my smoothie, sometimes not quite that much, and get all of my omega-3 met for that day, which is so important, as we all know. Pumpkin seeds are something I use all the time. I make sauces out of them. I make nut milks, actually seed milk out of that. I'll make nut meat. They're great for all of those. Such great nutrition. They're definitely one of my staples. I like to use seeds. more the nuts. I'd say from this grocery haul, it looks like I eat a lot more nuts than I do. This is just, like I said, because a lot of my store has run out. What I do with the nuts also is I will soak them overnight and then rinse them. And then we want to get all the phytic acid off and all the kind of anti-nutrients rinsed off. And then I put them in the dehydrator. And once they're fully dehydrated, I then put them in glass jars in the freezer and then just have them whenever I need them. They basically last kind of forever. So the other thing here, I love this chocolate bar. I will buy one of these once every week or a couple weeks and just kind of pick away at it. It's just sort of a treat for me. I just love dark chocolate and it's raw. It's really yummy. I got yellow peppers. I like to stuff these I'll make like a nut pate and stuff them with that and some veggies and put a sauce on them. They're super yummy. I also just like to eat them, just cut them up and eat them fresh for a snack, or put them in salads. They're always super good. Garlic. I know garlic is somewhat controversial to some people in the raw food community. I tend to like it. I like it for its antibacterial, antiviral properties. I also think it's really yummy, so I just put it in my soups, and like jalapenos, anything I can get away with, I will put garlic in because I just love it. I like to just have lemons and limes around because I do use those in a lot of my recipes as well. So I typically will get a couple of those every week. I bet you can guess, juicing. I always juice. So typically I'm kind of on this celery juice kick right now, and have been for a year or so. And so I always get 6 heads of celery and 6 cucumbers, and I'll use a head of celery and a cucumber for my juice every morning. Makes about 25 ounces, depending on obviously how big the celery head is. Over here, we've got some romaine. That will be my greens for my smoothies this week. I definitely rotate those every week to make sure that I'm getting different nutrients every week as well. So the dark sweet cherries back here are like my new addiction. This is my treat. I will buy a bag of these just about every week and eat them just straight out of the bag. They're so good. They're just like a dessert in themselves. And sometimes Vivian and I will make fresh nut milk or seed milk and put them over the cherries, and it's just so good. 5 avocados, pretty typical. Sometimes we don't eat that many, but we make avocado toast. We just eat them regularly. And last week I made a ton of guacamole and then ate it in my wraps, and it was so good. I just kind of got really excited about maybe doing that again. So I told you about the sun-dried tomatoes and the tomato soup. I got some summer squash, some kind of hair on it, yuck. I got a bunch of these summer squashes and also zucchini. I use them as a base for my bread. Typically I'll make Laurel Anderson's wild plate bread recipe. I haven't made it in a little while, so I don't know. Sometimes we'll just eat these as a snack. I'll also put them in my smoothie. They're just really good nutrition to have, and easy to sort of make anything out of. We might make some crackers this week and use those as a base as well. Jalapenos, like I said, I'll just sneak those into anything I can, although Vivi hates them, so those are mine, all mine. Bananas, I put 2 bananas in my smoothie every morning, and I also always have a stock of frozen bananas in the freezer that are peeled, and then I bag them in Ziplocs, and we eat ice cream. We make banana ice cream with different flavors. It's so good. Usually we'll put berries in them, sometimes cacao, sometimes I'll just put a little vanilla in there and we'll have vanilla, but it's so yummy. And then kind of the fruits in season here are apples and pears. It's winter now, so we'll just eat those as snacks. We might make like a little pear apple crumble or an apple pie. I love using pecan soaked and dehydrated pecans for crust. They're my favorite. They kind of just melt in your mouth. So we eat those all the time. We eat a lot of apples. Berries. I love blackberries. I hate the packaging on these, but I love getting the nutrition from those. So I kind of just throw them in the recycler and hope for the best. And then they had grapes this week, which I was a little surprised about. And I know Vivi will be excited about. So that is pretty much it for this week. And that's pretty typical of kind of what I will make as far as like menu items. And, but I do, like I said, I'll rotate the ingredients out in everything that I make, in my juices, in my smoothies, in my tortillas, my wraps. This week I'm also gonna make a granola. So I was excited to get nuts and seeds to make that too. And what I do is just sort of chop them pretty roughly in the Cuisinart and then pour either just water or nut milk over them and just eat that as a cereal in the morning sometimes. Pretty heavy, but I don't know, it's just nice to have sometimes. So that's an example of a week of raw vegan grocery shopping for me. Hope you enjoyed that. Be super happy to answer any questions or do any further videos you guys would be interested in. Thanks so much. Bye.